Howdy everyone, Matt and Mateo here, coming at you with another orthopedic special test, and this one is for the hip. It is the log roll test. Now you will get bonus points if you're able to sing the theme song for log in the comments, so keep that in mind. Even more bonus points if you know what show that's from. This test is one that looks at the integrity of the hip, and it can be used to differentiate if a patient's symptoms are coming from the hip itself, maybe the SI joint, or the lumbar spine. Looking back through the history of it, the earliest reference I could find was 1997, and it referenced it, but it didn't reference the original papers in it, so I don't know how far back this test goes. But it's a pretty simple test to do. Patient is laying down. Mateo had a pretty busy holiday season, so he said, hey, I'm just going to relax during these tests. But we start on the non-affected side, and all you do, you have the person laying, and you just take them all the way into an external rotation, and then you can roll them all the way into an internal rotation, and then you compare to the other side. There are a few different positives for this, really depending upon what is going on. Now keep in mind, this is just looking at the hip joint, so that joint, the capsule, all around the hip. So if it is painful, it could point to that there is a fracture, there could be an impingement, there could be a labral issue in there. If it is more laxity in it, so if it moves more than the non-affected side, it could be some ligament laxity. That iliofemoral ligament could be a little bit more lax in it. There was a reference that this was a test for piriformis syndrome, and looking at the original reference, it did not use this test specifically, but it was referencing another paper from 1981 that was looking at a tonic excessive external rotation and saying that was a sign of piriformis syndrome. So it wasn't really this test necessarily, but it was saying that excessive external rotation of the hip in just like passive lying was like an indication of piriformis syndrome. That's something all into itself. So if you see that, that's what that is referencing. As for the research on when this is used, many of the papers were using it as a cluster of tests, so using like Faber, the FEBR. So looking at those tests with this to ensure like, yes, this was a pain, like this is really coming from the hip. There is a pretty good interrelator reliability. They found a kappa of 0.61, so pretty good, reference on it. So everyone's in agreement of if it's a positive, it's a positive, it's a negative, it's a negative. So that's what that is there. So that is the log roll test. What do you think of it? Do you use this? Have you ever heard of it? I'll be honest, I have never heard of this test beforehand, but guess what? I'm going to start throwing it in my practice as well. So let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. And like always, take care of yourself, take care of your patients. We will see you next time.